What's up, everyone? It is day 3 in the Big Brother house, but first, we must discuss all the updates from night 2 of Big Brother. And let me tell you, it was a jam-packed evening with lots and lots of game talk, lots more alliances struck, and just an overall brilliant night for the feed. So we'll dive right in and talk about everything that happened. So just before the feeds went down for a long duration of time yesterday, we saw Keisha and Janelle in the bathroom briefly discussing that they feel that they are unsafe under Cody's HOH reign. So they decided that the best thing to do would probably to be able to compete in the safety suite competition. And obviously the feeds went down, they came back, and then we found out that Kesa won the safety suite competition. What up, Kesa? Give me a what up, Kesa, guys, in the comments, because I mean it's just legendary that, you know, the old school people are pulling through here. And Kesa decided to save Janelle alongside himself, which is fantastic news, because I feel like they would have been prime targets if they didn't have safety, which probably means that Keisha is now in trouble, but I will get onto that later with Cody's plans for nominations. But as far as we know right now, Kesa and Janelle are safe, which is fantastic news in my books. Immediately after the results of the safety suite competition, Nicole F went to speak to Cody, telling Cody how mad she was at the fact that Janelle and Kesa knew they had to compete for safety. So somehow Janelle and Kesa did get wind or catch wind of the fact that they were being targeted, and they acted upon that. They were perceptive and they did what they had to do, and Nicole F was mad that they did that. Obviously now Cody has to think of 2 other people to place on the block now that he can't go for Kesa and Janelle, and Keisha's name was brought up as the prime target alongside Kevin as the other one. And I think that's really, really interesting, because Cody is basically gone from, you know, targeting 2 big people like Janelle and Kesa to backing down, and it is quite it's quite interesting to see where that's going to go. And I think he thinks that's going to be sort of the move that doesn't rattle the cage, I think he said. So I think that Keisha could be the target this week, but then again, all the old school people I feel like will probably try and win the veto competition and save Keisha. But for sure now Cody has been exposed for targeting several people this time, so he needs to watch his back next week, because if someone wins the HOH and they're onto him and Tyler, then I think they're going to find themselves on the block. Danny and Nicole F are continually creating a strong bond between themselves, talking to each other all the time, and they discussed the fact that Nicole is worried if Janelle is to win a HOH next week, and you know what, she should be, because I think Janelle is 100% going to be targeting Nicole Franzel if she wins HOH, and I think, you know, Nicole Franzel straight up there, she's realised what's going on, and she realises that she needs to get out of that situation of Janelle targeting her. I don't really think there's much she can do. I think there's a lot of people gunning for her now, so she needs to watch her back 100%, but it looks like Danny's definitely got her back. And Danny also mentions to Nicole F that she needs to be careful what she says around Bailey, because Danny believes that Bailey and Janelle are definitely working together, so they just need to be really, really careful there. And Danny and Nicole Franzel also discussed the fact that they think Nicole Anthony doesn't like her. I really don't think that's true. I mean, Nicole Anthony doesn't seem like she's got a bad bone in her body. I think she just seems like really, really nice, and I haven't seen any disdain towards them yet. You know, I think maybe they haven't talked too much, but I don't think I would go as far to say that Nicole Anthony dislikes them. Danny continues to solidify her social game when she's bonding with Cody. They sort of share their mutual respect for each other and basically say that they're not targeting each other. And they decide the fact that if Keisha was to be evicted, it totally frees up Memphis. Memphis becomes a free agent and they can bring him into the fold. And they also bring up the fact that maybe further down the line, you know, they can bring in Tyler as well as Memphis, as just discussed there. And yeah, I think that's just them solidifying their social bond there. And as well as Cody also said, you know, he's got that bond with Nicole Franzel, so they can bring her in, creating some sort of alliance there. But obviously Keisha would have to be evicted first for this plan to work. But that's totally Danny working her magic on the HOH there to ensure she's not a target in week 1. Another alliance we could see forming very soon is Janelle, Kesa, Nicole Anthony and Ian. So I think that's a really, really exciting alliance that we could see formed there, and I'm really hoping it comes true. I think all 4 of those guys are excellent players, and if they work together, they're definitely going to benefit each other's games. And you know, Janelle brings up the fact to them 3 that she thinks that Tyler, David and Cody are already in cahoots and working together, and she couldn't be truer. You know, she's twigged on there and she's calling them out straight away. So I think you know, even though the old school people, you know, haven't played for a while, they've definitely got the finger on the pulse and they know what's going on. Kesa also brings up the fact, you know, to Janelle that, you know, they don't understand the depth of, you know, destruction. I don't think destruction was the word, but they don't understand the depths of complexity gameplay that we can do. They've totally underestimated us, and now we're coming for them. And I'm so excited to see what they can do, because I think when Janelle and Kesa put their minds to it, there's nothing stopping what they can do. So I'm very, very excited to see what they can pull off. Janelle and Enzo seem to be getting very, very annoyed with Nicole Franzel. She seems to be getting on their very, very last nerves. The fact that she's crying on day 2 doesn't sit well with them. And yeah, they just think she's being quite fake for the fact that she continues saying that she's worried about being nominated, when in fact she's probably the safest person in the house. So Janelle did bring up that comment, and Enzo totally agreed with her. So I think Nicole Franzel is slowly starting to become public enemy number one in the house as well as on the outside of the house. So we'll see where that goes. But for sure, Nicole Franzel definitely needs to watch her back next week. As discussed previously, Janelle and Kesa are definitely trying to keep their loyalty on the DL, and with them saving each other in the competition, or Kesa saving Janelle, it's hard to cover that up now. But I think everyone pretty much knew straight away that they were going to be a duo. And, they're definitely looking to work with Nicole, Anthony and Ian, as stated earlier on. And potentially, if Keisha and Memphis survive this week's eviction, they're going to bring them into the fold as well. That would be a fantastic alliance, and I really hope it happens. We have another two-person alliance that is forming. Davon and Kevin had a deep conversation last night, and they bonded very, very much so. And they basically established the fact that they have each other's backs, and they are not out to get each other. So that's definitely something, or some sort of strong alliance that we could be seeing make it far in the game. Obviously, with Kevin being the target this week, it's definitely going to benefit him to have Davon potentially trying to win the veto for him. I don't know if Davon's going to throw it, or if she's going to really, really try to save Kevin. But we'll see if that bond is true, and if it means something. Should Kevin be nominated this week. We've got some more Nicole Franzel and Janelle drama, with Nicole Franzel telling Christmas that Janelle totally scares her should she win HOH next week, and rightly so. I think Janelle will totally be gunning for her, unless they take the other approach of targeting Cody and Tyler, because I think Kesa and Janelle are going to strategize extremely well together, and if one of them was to win HOH next week, I think we're going to see some fantastic gameplay. But first, we've obviously got to see what rolls out this week. But the fact that Janelle and Kesa are safe just makes me extremely happy to know that we've got another week and a bit of them. And I think there's some great strategy to be to still come, and I think it's going to be fantastic to see what comes this week. Quite possibly my favourite moment of the feeds last night. Kesa and Nicole Anthony were bonding further, continuing to solidify their relationship. And Kesa basically tells Nicole that he's going to lay low this week, make sure he makes some good social connections. And he is. He's going around that house and he's making people laugh. He's entertaining people, and he's playing that King Kesa game that everyone knows and loves. He's creating that great social bond with everyone. So he said that he's potentially going to even make Cody and Tyler feel like he is working with them to lower them basically into feeling very, very comfortable. And thus, if he was to rise to power, he's basically going to expose them and get them out. And I think that's a fantastic move on Kesa. I've seen a lot of people saying that he's basically strategizing too hard. But you know what? The old guy often needs to compensate. Well, I say he's the old guy. He's one of the older guys in the house. And if the older guy doesn't really strategize, then they'll probably find themselves out in the first couple of weeks. So the fact that he's strategizing hard is extremely exciting, and I think it's going to help him make it far in the game. So I've really got my fingers crossed for Kesa, and hoping that he can make some power moves should he win HOH next week. That is all the feed talk from last night, folks. Some very, very exciting gameplay talk, of course, which excites me very much for day 3. I think we've got a fantastic day ahead of us. Stay tuned on the channel and subscribe for more live feed updates if you enjoyed this one, because I'll be covering all season long, so please hit the subscribe button. Besides from that, folks, drop in the comments if you are happy that Kesa and Janelle are safe from the Safety Suite comp, and also your thoughts on some gameplay that we could see in the coming days. Who do you think Cody is going to nominate? Who do you think is going to be evicted this week? Just anything, drop it in the comment below and have a good conversation with a fellow Big Brother fan. But besides from that, folks, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.